Good Friday afternoon, and thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Sunday marks 1 year since the lawmaker shootings that rocked the state and the country. Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were shot and killed. Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were gravely injured. And as we learn more details about that tragic day, the community's working to move forward. Lawmakers at every level are remembering the legacy that Melissa and Mark left behind.
She spoke truth to power, and she insisted that we treat each other with dignity and respect.
That was Senator Tina Smith on the Senate floor yesterday in Washington. Looking ahead to this weekend, St. Paul City Council passed a resolution marking Sunday Mark, Melissa, and Gilbert Hortman Day. Meanwhile, the city of Brooklyn Park, where the couple lived, is also upping patrol out of an abundance of caution. Well, today we're learning new details about the lawmaker shootings. Vance Belter admitting to 6 charges against him in federal court, agreeing to 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Lou Ragoose was there.
The way it breaks down for the official crimes, it is back-to-back life sentences for murdering Mark and Melissa Hortman, an additional 20 years for stalking State Senator John Hoffman, an additional 10 years for discharge of a firearm in the shooting of the Hortmans, and an additional 10 years for discharge of a firearm in the shooting of the Hoffman family, who all survived. The packed courtroom cried out during the part of the hearing where Belter admits to all the individual details of his crimes, particularly a detail we didn't know before, which is that he put the gun right up to Speaker Emeritus Hortman's head and killed her execution style. Belter did not say anything else particularly remarkable during the hearing. He didn't spout any of the delusional details or conspiracy theories that he's said before. He just admitted that he planned this for months, stalking them, and then carried out the shootings. I'm Lou Ragoose. Follow for more news.
Following the news that the shooter will spend the rest of his life in prison, Senator John Hoffman, who was injured that same night 1 year ago, released a statement saying, in part, quote, "There is not justice when our family and our state will never truly heal." The Hennepin County Attorney's Office says Belter's plea in federal court does not change things for his case in the state. The state will follow through with the 8 state-level felony charges, including first-degree murder. Now, County Attorney Mary Moriarty says that she plans to take Belter to trial, and her office is working with the U.S. Attorney's Office to transfer him into state custody. She says that this is to ensure that he faces a trial in front of the public, and also to take away any future pardon possibility off the table if he's convicted. Developing right now in West Texas, 1 person is dead and at least 10 others are wounded after a shooting and a standoff in Midland. It's a city between Fort Worth and El Paso. In a press release, the city's mayor confirmed that the active shooter situation has ended and the suspected shooter is dead. Authorities say that the suspect remained barricaded for about 2 hours after the shooting. The mayor said there are 11 known victims. 9 are in the hospital, including 4 right now who are undergoing surgery. Authorities have not yet released any information about the suspect or a possible motive. Well, today marks a somber anniversary for the LGBTQ community. 10 years ago today, a gunman opened fire inside the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. 49 people were killed and 58 others were hurt. At the time, it was the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. Earlier this year, the building was torn down and plans are now underway to build a permanent memorial to honor the people who lost their lives. We have new updates this afternoon in the war with Iran. President Trump recently said a deal will soon be finalized, opening a key trade route. But on social media today, he accused Iran of leaking inaccurate descriptions of the proposal, including that Iran would not give up management of the Strait of Hormuz. Here's NBC's Richard Engel.
President Trump is giving the impression that a deal has been reached between the U.S. and Iran, that all that remains is to sign on the dotted line, and that a signing ceremony could take place this weekend. According to President Trump, this would effectively end the war with Iran, that Iran has agreed to never produce or try to obtain a nuclear weapon, and that as soon as the two sides sign this memorandum of understanding, a first phase of a deal, that the Strait of Hormuz would open, potentially lowering gas prices. But Iran is saying that nothing has yet been finalized, not a preliminary deal, not a final deal, that it is still subject to negotiations, casting doubt about how real this diplomatic progress is. Richard Egel, NBC News, Jerusalem.
Developing this afternoon, we're learning more about a reported ICE operation in Bemidji. In a post on X, Bemidji Mayor Jorge Prince says he was told about the incident at Vista North. He says several employees working on the site there were detained, and adds that Bemidji police were not contacted and did not participate in any of those ICE actions. Trending this afternoon, a woman saved after she was stuck in the mud up to her face for several days, rescued in a chance encounter by two men off-roading. Raya Katene has more.
What they say felt like a movie.
No way.
Adam Sandback and Mike Gravlin caught briefly on video. But what led up to this moment,
I'll never forget it,
is still replaying in their heads.
I'm just thankful that she was alive.
We found some new trails.
The two friends were exploring this small bumpy trail near Park Rapids on Saturday when they saw this.
There's this van in the middle of nowhere that has no real off-road capabilities to get there, but it somehow did. As we got closer, we could see that there was a body in the puddle next to the van. And then that's when it got real.
What did you think when you first noticed there was a person there?
When we walked up, we thought she was dead. We thought it was just a body. And then she whispered, "Help me." And it scared the crap out of me.
The woman trapped in a puddle of mud is 68-year-old Catherine Westner of Alexandria, who the Douglas County Sheriff's Office says was missing for 3 days.
She'd been out there for 3 days. She watched the sun come up and go down while she was in that puddle. And she said it was like quicksand and she couldn't get out. All you could see was just the round part of her face, like her mouth, her lips. You couldn't even see her ears. It was all submerged.
Catherine was even trapped through the previous night's storm.
She's lying in the water and watching it rain and probably just hoping that the water level doesn't rise and surpass her breathing.
Adam and Mike pulled her out before calling 911. They say volunteer firefighters, paramedics, and law enforcement were able to find them using coordinates from their Polaris Ride Command device tracking their location.
That feature from Polaris made the difference.
Mike says thousands of hours of training as a deputy U.S. Marshal helped him stay composed, but the two say what guided them through it all was much bigger.
We've heard that word hero a lot lately, and we ain't heroes. We're just two guys. But I have no doubt the hand of God was there guiding us.
Guiding them through a scene still playing in their heads, which they say has given them a new perspective on life.
Absolutely.
Raya Katene, KARE 11 News.
What an unbelievable story. The sheriff's office says Catherine was taken to a hospital in Brainerd. Adam has spoken to her since and says that she's a strong and determined woman. Obviously, they say the entire rescue took less than an hour and a half, adding they're grateful for the work of the first responders in rural communities. Developing today, more than 500 concession workers at Target Field say they're ready to walk off the job in just over a week. Workers say more than 80% voted to authorize a strike against their employer, Delaware North. They're pushing for better pay, access to health care, and job protections. They are set to strike starting Monday, June 22nd. Delaware North says it's negotiating with the union and plans to have full concessions even if there is a strike. Right now, Minneapolis city leaders are working to get ahead of regulations for self-driving cars. This is one of the biggest names in autonomous vehicles, says it's getting ready to expand here. Ian Russells has the story.
Waymo and St. Paul. On streets around the Twin Cities, thousands of cars have drivers behind the wheel.
There is a driver.
But driverless cars are hitting the road soon.
Go look at that thing.
A ride that won't start without rules around it.
Responsible regulations at the local level.
During Thursday's city council meeting, Councilmember Robin Wansley took the first step towards regulation of companies like Waymo.
There are many questions that have come up when we think about autonomous vehicles.
At the heart of their argument is the potential for job loss for rideshare drivers, many of whom drive alive full-time.
So that we're protecting workers, most importantly, as Waymo continues to operate across our cities.
We are talking about people here and their livelihood.
Eid Ali heads the group representing rideshare drivers and says that has to be top of mind.
We are not anti-technology, but we need to make sure that this technology is used responsibly.
Waymo partners with several organizations that represent those who are living with physical, cognitive, or visual disabilities. Ali agrees that those needs have to be considered.
Whether you belong to the disability community or any other community, we need to make sure that everybody is part of the winning team.
There it is.
A change to metro roads that we're already seeing, and one Ali says needs all to be involved with.
I'm very confident that we'll have a win-win situation for everybody.
Ian Russell reporting there. There are no clear details yet as to what the regulations would look like. Wansley says that's because this is the first step in the process. This is set to be discussed at the next city council meeting 2 weeks from today. We did reach out to Waymo. The company says it'll wait to comment until it knows more about the ordinances. Well, get this, just in today, we have the world's first trillionaire. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk is making history after the company's shares soared in their Wall Street debut. The reusable rocket company went on sale just before noon, with shares opening at $150, quickly jumping to $160. The company raised $75 billion, a new record for an IPO. Musk said the company is going public to gather funds to put satellites and data centers into space with the goal of eventually establishing a colony of people on Mars. Stick with us, we got more news and weather coming up after the break.